Disney says they're done with the culture wars. The She-Hulk actress is jealous of One Piece. And we have an update on the retired cop that was murdered in Las Vegas. This is the Vice Signal Podcast. So after losing billions of dollars and having millions of their customers gone for good, Disney is now backtracking and allegedly planning to remove itself from the culture wars. Disney has backed itself in a corner over the last several years because it's insulted half of its customer base by pushing all types of agendas. So now we have this shareholder meeting that just happened the other day, and Bob Iger told the investors, Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, he told the investors that Disney is going to quiet the noise because they keep, every time they talk to Bob Iger, these investors, they ask him about the culture wars. They ask him why Disney is engaged in these culture wars. Why is Disney putting left-wing agendas ahead of making money for the investors? So Bob Iger is saying Disney is going to quote unquote quiet the noise. And this whole thing started a couple of years ago when Disney jumped headlong into the debate surrounding the Don't Say Gay law in Florida, where Ron DeSantis and the legislature passed a law saying that teachers, anybody who works at school, you're not allowed to talk about sexual orientation, any type of sex, to children, to small children, children from the ages of 5 through 8. And this thing sparked all types of outrage at the left because you have a lot of pedophiles, a lot of pedos, a lot of groomers who work at these schools, and all of these people who are in this LGBT, elemental P ideology, and a lot of them are just full-blown child molesters. So these people weren't happy. And also on top of that, these people, a lot of them, they don't have their own children, and they want to spread the message. They want to spread their religion, this ideology, by pushing it into the youth. And to hear that they couldn't talk to a 5-year-old about this twisted, this demonic ideology, they were upset. So there was outrage down there in Florida over the fact that teachers couldn't tell 5-year-olds that they're the opposite gender. The name of the bill was Parental Rights in Education, but the left-wing media dubbed it Don't Say Gay. So they started spreading this message saying Ron DeSantis is making it illegal to say the word gay in the state of Florida. In any school, you will be reprimanded if you say the word gay. Full-blown propaganda. They didn't want to say what the truth was because they know a lot of people, a lot of sensible people, if they heard what it actually is, they would agree with the sentence. But like I'm saying, a lot of these LGBT demons, they were pissed off about it because they wanted to spread their religion onto little children. So all of these people in Florida were wondering, what's Disney going to do? Is Disney going to say anything about it? Because Disney is the largest employer in the state of Florida. So people were pressuring Disney to get involved, to say something, to go against what DeSantis said, to support the idea that teachers should talk to little children about sexual orientation, who they want to have sex with, what gender they are. But Disney was using a little common sense because some of the people at the top have some type of financial brain and they didn't want to get involved, but they were buck broken by their own employees, by all of these woke activist freaks that work for Disney and that Disney tries to appease. So their employees staged a walkout. Let's look at these clips here.
Disney CEO Bob Chapek is reversing course today, now speaking out against Florida's parental rights in education legislation, dubbed by opponents as the Don't Say Gay bill. Chapek has come under fire both in and outside the company for his silence on the new legislation, which would ban the discussion of sexual orientation in the classroom for kindergarten through 3rd grade. Chapek told shareholders at Disney's annual meeting today that he opposes the bill and shared his plans to meet with Florida Governor DeSantis. DeSantis is expected to sign the bill into law, which would then go into effect in July. Chapek also reportedly said Disney would sign a petition against similar bills across the U.S. and make a $5 million donation to protect the LGBTQ plus community.
So Bob Chapek folded to a bunch of woke activist freaks who know nothing about running a business. This often happens. These companies get involved with these woke freaks then they end up losing a lot of money, and they don't understand that these people engaged in these culture wars in this regard, these activist freaks, they don't know anything about making money. They don't care if a company is losing money or not. They just want to spread their agenda. We had a similar situation with Netflix after the Netflix employees were trying to revolt against them over Dave Chappelle. They wanted Dave Chappelle gone because he hurt a couple of people's feelings over some jokes. And Netflix eventually came to the conclusion that, look, if you guys have a problem with what we're doing here, you don't want to work on these Dave Chappelle projects, quit, go find another job, because we're going to continue our partnership with Dave Chappelle. And Disney should have stood firm and said, hey, we're not getting involved in that. But they decided to get involved, thinking that they were doing the right thing, that they were on the right side of history by trying to spread this demonic ideology to children by having adults without parents involved, having adults talk to little children about who they want to have sex with and what gender they think they are. Disney thought that they were doing the right thing, and they thought they were going to satisfy their activist employees. But it didn't work out for them. They ended up losing big time because for the last 50 years or so, Disney has had control of the grounds where their flagship park is established. It's called the Reedy Creek District down there in Orlando, Florida. And Florida decided to strip it because previously Disney had the right to do whatever they wanted there. They didn't have to follow regular laws. They didn't have to pay taxes on that. They had their own police, their own construction crews, fire. They were in complete control of that. And they gave them an advantage when it came to competitors like Universal Studios, SeaWorld, Six Flags, those type of places, because they didn't have that type of power over their land. So they had to pay way more in taxes. They had to worry about regulations that Disney didn't. So it gave Disney a competitive edge. But Florida decided to strip it. Using the power of the people, using the legislature and the governor, they stripped Disney of a special privilege they gave them. And now it's causing Disney a shit ton of money. And now Disney is trying to sue to get it back. And you listen to Bob Iger say this, well, we're going to try to get out of the culture wars. Maybe he's using common sense. Or maybe he's not. So maybe he's just lying to boost investor level confidence in Disney. But the problem is Disney not only did this with this don't say, quote unquote, don't say gay law, but they also tried to push this agenda and this left-wing ideology onto children and to consumers through movies and through their other products. Disney believes that most of its classic beloved movies, its beloved characters are outdated and there's some type of phobic or ism. Racism, sexism, ableism, homophobic, xenophobic, all these terms that you hear the Democrats pushing all the time. So they've taken their own content and they want to reboot it and change it to fit current left-wing ideology. They're using well-known names, well-known characters in order to push agendas. There was a meeting among Disney executives where they allegedly said that half of the new characters, all the new movies coming out, at least half of the lead characters will be gay or non-binary or some crap like that for no reason at all. Because when we were little, we went to see a Disney movie. Whoever sat there and thought, man, I wonder if this character is gay or not. Not one time did it cross our mind, but Disney has been taken over by left-wing ideology, by a bunch of woke activist freaks, and this is their mindset. You look at a movie like Lightyear, for no reason at all, they inserted gayness. That movie ended up getting banned in several countries. It completely flopped at the box office. Toy Story was a very successful brand, one of the most famous animated brands in history. So Disney took this Toy Story brand, took one of the well-known characters, and completely ruined his reputation by inserting gayness in a movie for little children for no reason at all. Look at Little Mermaid. Look at how they advertise it. They didn't say, oh man, we're using the best tech, the best movie tech out there, and we're going to bring this movie to life. Your favorite characters from Little Mermaid, we're going to make them look awesome. The music is going to be remastered. It's going to sound amazing. They didn't say any of that to advertise this movie. What they said was, hey, look, she's black. And if you don't like it, and if you don't line up to buy a ticket to see it, you're racist. Then you look at Elemental. That was a new brand they had this year. Non-binary characters. What they're not understanding is that parents don't want these things pushed onto their children. So Elemental flop. Then look at the Snow White movie. They've turned Snow White Latina for no reason at all. And she went from a humble girl, the original Snow White. She was a humble girl who was happy to be in love, to now she's a full-blown Hollywood feminist with very masculine traits.
Prince. She's not going to be safe with a prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And this movie is already looking like it's dead on arrival. There are rumors that Disney is going to cancel this movie because all the negative press around it. People already hate this movie because this super feminist actress can't stop running her mouth, insulting fans and insulting the original movie. And people are looking at what this movie is about, and it's a Hollywood feminist movie, and nobody cares about that. But Disney wants to push these agendas onto their audience. And when I look at Disney currently, looking at all the people who go down there, looking at the people who care about Disney the most, people who are the most excited, it seems like Disney has gone away from what it used to be, which is a company for little children. It seems like it's more for single young adults now. All of the talk and all the excitement when these new movies are coming out, it's a bunch of grown-ups without children. And a large chunk of the people who visit Disneyland, Disney World, they're adults because they refuse to grow up. They've been babied all their life. And what has happened is they've taken over Disney and they've morphed it to suit them and their sexual deviancies and their sexual fantasies. And that's why you have all this sexual stuff going on at Disney. That's why you have all these pride parades. You got pride decor all over the place. They're selling They're selling gay merchandise. They're putting up rainbow murals all over the place to make sure that it's right in your face. Disney is hosting something called Pride After Dark at Disneyland. What the hell is that? A place for children with something called Pride After Dark? What the hell is going on there? So you have all these sexual deviants, adults, taking over Disney World, taking over the entire Disney company. Not only are they visiting the company, but they have the same type of people who work for the company. And Disney is constantly, upper management at Disney is constantly trying to appease these people. Disney has changed their dress code to suit these people. Basically, they've changed their dress code to allow their employees to dress up like freaks. And then some of the employees, they can dress up to make it more obvious as to what gender they want to have sex with. As if a family taking their children down there to Disney World gives a damn about seeing stuff like that. But Disney, with their agenda, that's what they're going to push. And on top of that, let's not forget about this man. You take your daughter to be princess for the day, get a dress, get her hair done and everything. She's greeted by a man who looks like a freak, not just a regular man who just needs a job and just doing it, but a freak. A man that will make you second guess on whether your daughter should be there or not. This is what Disney's been doing. And they're wondering why they're losing customers and hemorrhaging money. But the investors are getting pissed off with this. They're losing too much money. And Bob Iger, he's made these comments. Like I said, he told them they're going to try to quiet the noise and get themselves out of culture wars. And earlier this year, I think that was back in April, he said our primary mission needs to be to entertain and to have a positive impact on the world. And he claimed to be serious about that, but it doesn't look like it. So what I think about all of this, Bob Iger's comments, is he's lying. Because Disney stock over the last 2 years, it peaked to close to $200, but it's cratered. It's around $80 right now. So Bob Iger is worried about the investors. He's worried about the bottom line. He's worried about profitability. He's worried about the future of the company because he knows there's cash strapped and the company may have to sell itself to another company like Apple. So he's trying to manipulate the market by having people be more confident and putting their money in Disney to grow. Because you look at Disney, you say, I'm not putting my money in this company. They're going to keep trying to push agendas onto children and the stock is going to continue to go down and I'm going to lose out on my money. I'm not doing that. But Bob Iger is trying to reverse that. Or it could be that Bob Iger is sincere in it. He wants to do it. But like I said, they've been buck broken by their own employees. So he's afraid. But they've taken action already at the ECPOC. They used to have this giant rainbow mural and they recently removed it and it pissed off a lot of those freaks who work there. Maybe he wants to get out of the culture wars. We don't know. So time is going to tell. We'll see what happens. So we're going to get into some other Disney news, such as the She-Hulk actress being jealous of the cast of One Piece. and an update on the Disney Spectrum drama. But first, a word from our sponsor, me. As we discuss today's topics, remember that your values and your ideas can be expressed by the things that you wear. Check out our thoughtfully curated merchandise celebrating traditional values and government restraint. Explore our unique collection starting with the Supreme Style tinfoil hat, a statement piece that embodies our commitment to critical thinking and pushing back against the norm. Make a statement with the Free Trump shirt, boldly displaying the captivating mugshot of the former president, which instantly became the most famous picture in the world. At the Bicycle Merch Store, we're more than just products. We're a community dedicated to celebrating and defending traditional values. Sign up for promotions and receive 10% off your very first order. Don't miss out on these exceptional items. Embrace tradition, champion freedom, and shop now at tvsmerch.com. Okay, so back to Disney. They've had all kinds of problems recently, not just their involvement in culture wars, but when you look at the vaunted app, Disney Plus, how it was supposed to storm the scene and take over and bring Amazon and Netflix down to their knees, it's been failing. They've lost billions of dollars since they've invested in Disney Plus, since the launch of this brand. Over the last year, they've lost millions of subscribers. A lot of that was due to them losing the rights to stream cricket in India. And a lot of it was domestic. They've lost millions of subscribers because of poor content quality, because a lot of it was just them pushing wokeness. Then when you look at one of their marquee brands, Marvel, which they made a great investment back in the day, what was it, about 15 years ago, could have been 20 years ago, when they bought Marvel. They did a good job with Marvel initially, but over the last couple of years, it's been trash. They've destroyed Marvel. Let's look at an example. We went from this to this. Some of their more recent films, Ant-Man, I don't know what the hell happened with that movie, but it had so much potential, but it was absolute ass. They've turned Thor into a joke. The Daredevil from Netflix, the Daredevil that people actually love, they put him on She-Hulk and embarrassed him, made the character look bad. So they just can't get this right. And when you look at the Marvel brand overall, at this point, nobody cares. They came out with Secret Invasion several years ago, let's say 5-6 years ago. It would have been hype. People would have lined up to go watch it. But now you got Samuel Jackson, you got all these other characters, and no one cares. Their views were way lower than what they expected. They spent so much money on it and they lost. They overpaid to produce the show and even resorted to using AI instead of professional writers and artists in the show. But there was no hype. There's no hype around Marvel anymore. Marvel used to be an event. They used to launch 1 or 2 movies a year, and it would be the talk of the town. Everybody would line up. Tickets would be sold out. You would have to buy tickets weeks ahead of time to make sure you get a good spot in the theater. But now nobody cares. A part of that, a lot of that is because it's been going on for 15 years, and a lot of their core fan base is kind of aging out of it. They're older, got families, got businesses to run, got other things to do, so they don't care as much. And a lot of it is just due to the content, the trash production of it. Because when you look at this comparison I just showed between Captain America and She-Hulk, they have fallen off dramatically. And they spend heavily on these films, way too much. They're using a ton of CGI. They do way too many reshoots because they can't decide, because a lot of it has to do with them trying to push certain agendas. So they'll write it a certain way and then they'll go for feedback to say, how do you like how we did this right here? And the feedback comes back, yeah, this is awful. So they'll have to spend millions or more dollars to do a reshoot, bring back the whole team, all the cast, and redo large chunks of the movie. So they're just throwing money down the toilet doing that. They're hiring and paying way too many people on these projects. And it's become pretty impossible for Disney to make their money back on a lot of these movies. You got the upcoming Marvels movie with Brie Larson and the other ones. We just found out that this movie cost them $300 million. They are spending way too much on these movies. You're talking about needing to make $650 to $700 million in ticket sales. they're not going to make their money back from this movie. And when you look at the Disney Plus shows, even though they spend a ton of money, I don't know where this money's going. These movies look cheap and terrible. And Disney Plus has been struggling to get people to consistently watch their material compared to Netflix, even though they spend just as much or even more than Netflix in a lot of cases to produce this content. Case in point, Netflix's live action anime One Piece is easily outperforming She-Hulk. So we're seeing a lot of drama going on here with the She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany. It's been reported that she made 4 times less than one of the supporting actors from One Piece. And now people are trying to make this a big deal. They're saying, oh, it's sexism. This is an injustice. This is so terrible. Y'all need to feel sorry for her. Y'all need to send her some more money. Now, we're talking about 2 completely different actors who work for 2 different companies. One for Disney, one for Netflix. But people are saying, oh, well, y'all need to pay her because he can't make more than her. Even though he had more experience in doing anime live action, and he was more experienced and suited for the role of Zoro in One Piece because he's a martial artist and he matched the character more, while Tatiana, she was just dressed up like She-Hulk, playing herself in cheap looking CGI. And on top of that, One Piece was way more successful than She-Hulk. Netflix invested heavily into One Piece in order to bring in more viewers. Disney invested even more. They paid more to create She-Hulk than Netflix did for One Piece. Disney invested into She-Hulk in order to push an agenda, in order to appease a certain group of people, and to boost their ESG score because they're going to say, oh, look at us, we're pro-feminist. And when you look at examples like this, it shows that Disney is hiring the wrong people because the whole production team, the producer, the director, the writers, all of these people are pushing out garbage. But despite all of that, despite the facts and the reality, people are saying this is wrong and this is terrible and he shouldn't be making more money than her. I have a question. Is She-Hulk even coming back for a second season? Because it's been a long time and people have been asking that question and now they're trying to say, oh, well, we can't answer. We don't know yet because there's a strike in Hollywood. But One Piece, a week after they debuted, it was renewed for a second season. It shows you because Disney, the people up top, they're looking at the numbers and they know that She-Hulk was trash. And Netflix knows that One Piece was successful. Okay, so let's talk about some more negative press that Disney had. Disney had a week-long, very public feud with Spectrum, the cable provider. Spectrum has 15 million customers, mostly on the East Coast and in the South. So Disney and Spectrum were going at it about money because Disney tried to run a shakedown on Spectrum. And what motivated Disney to do this was their monetary losses. Like I said, they've lost billions of dollars on Disney Plus over the last couple of years. They've lost millions of subscribers to Disney Plus. And these bums they keep putting in a movie theater, Little Mermaid, Elemental, Indiana Jones, and many others. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars, like at least $100 million in loss per movie. That's how terrible this company has been doing when it comes to these quote unquote blockbusters. So because they lost all this money, they've gone to one of their business partners, Spectrum, and said, look, you have all our Disney channels on your cable service, so we need you to pay us more in order to host these channels. So if you want ABC, CNN, BET, Baby TV, FX, if you want all of that, then we need some more money, and especially ESPN. And the only channel they have really of any value is ESPN. And that's solely because ESPN currently has the rights to Monday Night Football and NBA and other sports that people want to watch. And they can lose those rights at the end of the contract. We don't know. But Disney wanted to add more of their channels into these Spectrum packages. And they wanted Spectrum to pay them more per channel per customer. A full-blown shakedown. So they had this beef and they disagreed, and There ended up being a blackout. They couldn't come to an agreement. People were watching ESPN one day, and the next day, boom, it's off. But they did eventually reach a deal. And what the deal says is Spectrum is going to host Disney Plus and ESPN Plus in certain packages. Spectrum's basic package is going to include Disney Plus. But Spectrum did fold and they ended up agreeing to pay Disney. We don't know the numbers, but they agreed to pay Disney more per channel per customer. And they'll also be adding the option to integrate Hulu Live into a Spectrum package. So it'll all be on one bill. It sounds expensive as hell. And when you look at this, it looks like, yeah, Disney had more leverage. Disney got a lot out of it. Spectrum got some of the stuff that they wanted. Like they wanted to have access to Disney Plus for no additional cost. But Disney had more leverage because we're into football season. College football had already started. NFL was just about to start right around the corner. And people were pissed off because now they don't have access to these live sports. And Disney was saying, well, hey, we have Hulu. We have Hulu Live. You can come here and watch ESPN. You don't need Spectrum. You can get rid of Spectrum. Cut the cord. So Spectrum knows it's a reality. The Netflix CEO has been saying that for years. Like, cable is dead. Cable is dead. Cable is dead. Spectrum had to give in because they know they're in a dying industry. But everything isn't going great for Disney either in the TV game because they're still cash strapped and they're looking to sell ABC and they don't know what they want to do with ESPN because it hasn't been profitable enough for them. They've laid off a lot of those famous names that you see on Sports Center and NBA shows. They laid off a lot of people and they're trying to figure out if they're going to sell it or are they going to divide it into chunks, or maybe they'll even partner with another company and split ownership of ESPN. They're just trying to figure it out because even though they managed to successfully shake down Spectrum, they still got issues when it comes to TV. And Spectrum is looking at this deal as a transformational move for the industry. They're saying this could be a model. It could be a new way for customers to consolidate all of the streaming services they have. So if you have Spectrum, you also have Disney Plus. So they're saying maybe we can get it to where Paramount, Peacock, Stars, all these apps come on board into Spectrum. Now everything's in one shop. You don't have to worry about having 5 different streaming bills plus cable. You're going to have it all in one big bill. And they're thinking this is going to resuscitate some life into the cable industry and to help them not die as fast because, like I said, cable is on a slow death spiral. So they're trying to promote this as a win-win. This could be a win-win for the apps and for the cable companies. But I don't know because we got 2 juggernauts out there, Amazon and Netflix. First of all, they don't have cable channels, cable content, and they don't need to make a partnership with a cable company. And the biggest juggernaut of them all, YouTube, they definitely don't need to partner with a cable company. So this whole transformational move that Spectrum is promoting, this whole deal with them having Disney Plus and possibly pursuing other apps, I don't think it's going to work in the long term because Netflix is massive, YouTube is massive, and they consume so much of people's everyday content that most people are still not going to care. Like, man, I can get Disney Plus if I sign up for Spectrum. I can get Disney Plus as an add-on. Nobody's going to care. And I think Disney knows this too, but they're just trying to buy time because Disney, eventually they want to have ESPN fully in its own app. Right now you have ESPN Plus, which is a complete trash app, no good content on there at all. But Disney wants main ESPN to be an app service. And if they can pull that off and successfully accomplish that, they're going to pull out the rug from under Spectrum and their other cable providers because they don't need them at all at that point. They'll push everything towards their streaming services and watch these cable companies die. Speaking of the Hollywood strike, all of those actors and those writers out there, over 170,000 of them, are about to start collecting unemployment. They just lobbied the California government. The legislator just passed a bill, and Gavin Newsom, they're just waiting on Gavin Newsom to sign it, which he will. And they're going to be getting paid to walk around with picket signs. And I thought one of the standard rules for unemployment was that you had to be available and actually seeking work. So I guess striking against your employer and refusing to work that counts? Only for these Hollywood people would something like that count. And what they're doing here is they're setting a precedent. It already happened in New York because you have Hollywood production in New York, so they're on strike there too, where the writers and actors are collecting unemployment. And once it happens in California, you're going to further strengthen this precedent to where employers will have to fund the people that are striking against them because their employers are the ones that are paying the taxes to fund unemployment. So these Hollywood studios have these workers striking against them, but they're funding the unemployment that the actors and the writers are collecting. And a lot of people think that's a bad sign for business owners because now you're going to see this happening more frequently, more widespread, and it makes it more likely that unions are going to strike because they have this little cushion of unemployment. But some of these actors, they've been struggling because some of them have mismanaged their money. Like that one guy who was talking about he lost his house. He had to sell his house because he ran out of money and he's begging them to come back to work. You had lower level people who don't make as much. They don't make millions per year. These guys are literally on food stamps. You have people who said they were writers. Like, I was writing on the #1 show on Netflix last year. Now I'm sitting here on food stamps. Welcome to normal life. Welcome to normal society. But they're collecting donations from charities out there in California. Literally, like Catholic charity, giving them bread and stuff. And their union leaders, these Hollywood elite, are encouraging these people to walk outside, walk around looking like fools, looking like peons, walking around with these picket signs, while the elite and the union leaders, they go back home to their mansions in Beverly Hills or somewhere. It amazes me how these people give up this type of power to unions. They give up their ability to earn income because they're professional entertainers. But while they're on strike, they're not allowed to use their professional skills to make money. So they've given up this type of power to earn income, to take care of their families, their children, to some rich people who live in mansions. That's wild. And some of the rich people, I guess, C-list celebrities, whatever you call them, Selena Gomez and Drew Barrymore, they just got in trouble because they actually violated the strike rules. What Gomez did was she promoted her Hulu show on IG. She just said, hey, my show's playing this day, go watch it. And the mob went after her and they publicly spanked her. And she deleted the post and apologized. Then Barrymore, I guess she has a talk show. I've never watched it, never going to watch it. I have no idea. But she said F it, and she went back to work. And the mob went after her too. So these people, even these people on the higher income bracket, are not allowed to make money. I guess if you're an A-list, they can't really do much. Some people might bitch and cry about it, but that's probably as far as that'll go. Then you had these late night talk show guys, all these leftists who do nothing but bash Republicans on their late shows. They decided to get together to make this podcast. You had Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and John Oliver, I think, some other guys. I think they got money, but they wanted some of their employees to start working. So they did a collaboration to do a Spotify podcast, a comedy podcast that I don't think that many people are watching. Because we used to have Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, David Letterman. This is during a heyday of late night comedy because these people were neutral. You would have millions of people tuning in every night. They weren't just saying Trump bad, Orange Man bad stuff all night long. They actually gave the news in a funny and entertaining and thoughtful way. But now it's just a bunch of leftists, and I don't think that many people are watching this. And I'm wondering, I guess you can't post on Instagram about your Hulu show, but you can have a podcast on Spotify. I don't really know how that works, but we don't know when this whole thing is going to end. They just had a 10-hour long meeting yesterday, and they're saying they're inching closer, whatever that even means, to a deal. And the main things that these people have issues with are the use of AI, because like I was saying earlier, Disney decided to use AI instead of animators and graphic artists in some of their Disney Plus shows. And they also want royalties because A lot of these actors, they feel like they're getting suckers. So you do a show and this show is playing reruns or being advertised or used in some way years down the road, but the actor is getting nothing or hardly anything from it, even though they put in all that work to help produce it. At the end of the day, normal people, nobody cares. I really don't care. They can stay on strike forever, but that's what's going on over there in Hollywood. Okay, so we're going to do an update on this story that went viral earlier this week about two Vegas teenagers killing a retired cop in cold blood. These guys have been busted, been arraigned, and come to find out these teenagers are full-blown agents of chaos. And my main question about this is, where the hell are the fathers? So we're going to go through this New York Post article that's going to give us some insight and some detail as to what's going on right now. But first, I want to show you this clip from one of the teens' mothers.
Can you give us your family side of the story, please?
I don't know what happened to my son. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I can't tell. I'm trying to see, is she in shock, remorseful? She got the media throwing mics in her face and she's just saying she's sorry. I mean, she knows her son. She knows she raised a piece of shit. And she knows what type of man his father is, wherever he is. But, yeah, well done. You raised a demon, an agent of chaos who committed cold-blooded murder. And the other mother, she didn't speak publicly, but we have a quote from her. It says, "My son's side of the story will be told. The truth, not the inaccuracies the media would try to portray," the text read. What the hell does that mean? Are you trying to say that your son was innocent? That your son wasn't a willing participant in murder and car theft? Because the video evidence shows different. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this New York Post article. Vegas teen charged in retired cop's hit and run death allegedly attempted another murder in wild crime spree. Two Las Vegas teenagers accused of mowing down a retired police chief in a fatal hit and run last month allegedly tried to kill another person and crash multiple stolen vehicles in the same 2-hour crime spree. Wow. Wow. The alleged driver, Jesus Ayala, 18, and his passenger, Josemir Keys, 16, both faced court on Thursday on a slew of charges, including murder tied to the August 14th rampage through Sin City that left 64-year-old Andreas Andy Probst dead. The teens allegedly kicked off their spree just before dawn when they struck a 72-year-old cyclist with a stolen Hyundai sedan before fleeing and crashing the vehicle, A News Now reports, citing law enforcement source. Okay, so this makes more sense because when I watched that first video, extremely graphic video of them mowing down this man, when you listen to him talk, it sounds like they were looking for someone. Were they looking for this specific man and ran him over? But it seems like here from this report is that they were looking for random people that they could hit. So they had already ran down another cyclist earlier. So it looks like they spotted Andreas, who happened to be a cyclist, and they said, okay, you see him? Because they were just looking for somebody to run down. Complete random act of violence, completely evil. Look at this guy. Look at Jesus. Tattoo on his face. Got the cholo cut. Where's his father? This guy is 18 years old. His mother saying she don't know what happened. You look at this boy, I think the mother knows her son was a demon. It's hard for a mother to admit, but Jesus, that's what he is. And now he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. And he came in there, he walked into, if you look at the videos, he walked into the courtroom looking all sad, looking like he was about to cry, looking remorseful. If you had stole a bag of chips, if you had beat up somebody, jacked somebody's purse, maybe there could be some type of leniency, remorse. You murdered a man and laughed about it. This kid is a demon, a monster. There's no remorse. No remorse. Nobody feels sorry for you. And your buddy who you was laughing with after y'all murdered a man, he can't be there to help you either. It wasn't immediately clear how injured the elderly cyclist was in an initial hit and run. Just 30 minutes later, the two teens were allegedly the ones who filmed themselves mowing down Probst, a retired police chief in California, as he rode his bicycle in a designated bike lane. Yeah, they have to put that here because when this first happened, the media, including Las Vegas local report and national news, they were saying, oh, it's a bike crash. An elderly guy was just hit in a bike crash and he died. Man, it's a sad, terrible story because they tried to spin it as some terrible accident. Because we have accidents where people are on bikes and they get hit by cars, but they're clearly car accidents. The media tried to spin this and tried to push the public eyes away from the fact that it was cold-blooded murder because of the race of these teens. You got a Latino boy and a black boy. So they ran down this man. If it was two white teens who did that, which a lot of these leftists were saying at first, it would be all over the news, 24/7, international news, racism, people be out there marching. But because it was a black boy and a Latino boy, they committed cold-blooded murder. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares, it seems. Horrifying footage shot from the front passenger seat shows the stolen vehicle approaching Probst from behind and suddenly ramming him, sending him hurling onto the hood and into the windshield. Yeah, that video was horrific. Straight up horrific. They floored on the gas pedal, hit this man, his body broke through the windshield, body went tumbling over the car, and he smacked into the road. They took a shot of him while he was laid there, bust out laughing, drove off. So he's on here looking all sad, the teenager. Oh, we don't give a damn. The laughing teens then allegedly dumped the car, which was covered in blood, about 10 minutes away, the sources said, before stealing two more vehicles. What, they think this is GTA? You just stealing cars and running people over? Why couldn't y'all get on GTA? Go play some GTA 5. What the hell y'all doing? And again, where the hell are the fathers? Before stealing two more vehicles that they then crashed into each other near a shopping mall. Yeah, here it is. His final moments right before these demons ran him down. Oh, man. It's cold-blooded murder. Ayala, the driver, was nabbed just hours later and bragged to the cops while in custody that he wouldn't be locked up for long, KLS reported. You think this juvenile beep is going to do some beep? I'll be out in 30 days, I'll bet you, Ayala told the cops. And you think his mother didn't know what type of son that she had? Look at this attitude from this guy. He killed a man and didn't give a damn. Talking about I'll be right out. What you think this New Jack City? When Wesley Snipes is talking about I'll be out in 24 hours or whatever the hell he said before they shot him. What the hell is this guy thinking? So maybe you got away with some stuff previously and went to juvie and got out. This time you gone. You done went too far. Cross the line. Too many chances. It's over. It's just a beep, hit and run, slap on the wrist. Ayala was hit with 18 charges, including murder, attempted murder. That was from the 72-year-old who could have also died, and grand larceny. These guys are idiots, man. They posted their murder on the internet. And now they want somebody to feel sorry for him. Well, I guess the black boy does. This Latino boy, he don't give a damn. He's extremely defiant. His passenger keys was arrested Tuesday. Both teens are being charged as adults, according to authorities. During their brief initial court appearance, neither teen spoke and they were not asked to enter a plea. Justice will be served in this case. Clark County District Attorney Stephen Wolfson bowed. So, sad story because you got an elderly gentleman who was just trying to enjoy his retirement, enjoy his life, minding his own business, doing some exercise, and he get ran down by some maniacs. Two lost souls. 18 years old, 16 years old, now they're gone away. Gone from this world because they're going to be in prison for the rest of their lives. It's just an absolute tragedy. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, share it, and I'll see you guys next time.